Okay, good morning, everyone, and happy new month to all of you. How are you doing today? My name is Fowowe, and welcome to Fowowe International Studio, Lagos, Nigeria. This is PF Things, and you know how we do it here. This is about episode 60, 77 thereabout. So we've been doing this for 77 days, and I want to appreciate all of you who have never missed any session at all. Well, we have been looking at common mistakes married men make, and today we look at the seventh mistake married men make. By the way, how are you doing? It's the seventh month of the year, and which means 6 months out of the year is already gone, and out of the 6 months, we spent about 3 months at home or 4 months thereabout, locked down because of coronavirus. Now people are learning to get back to their normal life, but it's a new normal. So what we can do is to adapt and maximize this new normal. So whatever life adjustment we all need to make, we need to make the adjustments because we don't know exactly what is going to happen. But one thing that must remain is your vision. You must not lose sight of your goal this month, which is why this month, one of the things I'm going to be focusing on is how to score your goal effectively. I've created a course that can help you score your goal within the next 6 months. Don't give yourself any excuse that, because of Corona, that's why you're not meeting your goal. You can actually exceed your goal. If there's anything this season has done, it has collapsed the entire world. You can now sit in Nigeria and do business with people all across the globe. You can bring everyone into your world. Wole Arole does that very well, and that's my guy. I love what he does. He's one guy who has maximized this season. He's not giving excuses, making excuses. You cannot afford to make any excuse. You can actually exceed your goal this new month. Okay, well, so what is the seventh mistake married men make? This one is finding solace in porn and other addiction. Finding solace in pornography and other addiction. Now, one thing about addiction that people don't know is that addiction is an uncontrollable, compulsive appetite for any sexual activity that keep reoccurring. Especially sex addiction is an uncontrollable, compulsive appetite for sexual activities that keep recurring. What it means is, you tried, you started it, and now it became uncontrollable. It's now become compulsive. That every time you say to yourself, you're not going to do this, you find yourself doing it. Now, what has happened in a lot of marriages is that many couples have substituted some of this addiction for their spouses. So there are couples I know who cannot enjoy sexual intimacy again because they would rather do pornography or they would rather masturbate. Now, that is messing up a lot of the bedroom negotiation for many couples. Now, if you have been battling with addiction, well, we're going to be delving deep into this because this is one of the deal breakers in a lot of homes. I know what it means to be an addict. I have been through addictions and addictive behaviors, and I know what to come out of it, right? So, and I know it's not a pleasant place to be at all. Right. So a lot of people are addicted to all kinds of things in their marriages, soft porn, voyeur, phone sex, masturbation, hardcore, drug, nudes, and what have you. If there's one of the things I've had to handle in the last few months is the fact that a lot of my clients are reporting their spouses to say my husband is hooked on pornography and masturbation and we're not having a healthy sex life because he's asking for all kinds of bizarre sexual practices. So when your spouse who you're married to begins to ask for twosome or threesome within the marriage context, then you begin to ask yourself, where exactly are we going, right? And we have a lot of men threatening their wives that if they don't do threesome or if they don't, watch them receive lap dance from a prostitute or from lap dancers at a club, they're going to walk out of that marriage. So a lot of people going through so much in their marriages. And the question you want to ask is, at what point did you, arrive at this conclusion to say this is the way to enjoy your sexual fantasies, right? As a matter of fact, many of us talk about oral sex right now, but do you know that 10 years ago, we never really talked about oral sex? Oral sex was basically promoted by pornography, right? And it's become a mainstay right now, but what else is pornography promoting? Now, a lot of us do not know that there are two drivers of behavior. Pleasure is one, the other one is pain. Now, which is why I always say that nobody was born with any form of addiction. Every addictive behavior is learned. Addiction is a learned behavior, which means you were not born masturbating, you were not born hooked on pornography, right? There is nobody who was born with pornography, in front of him when he was born. Pornography is a learned behavior, and if you're addicted to it, it was because you learned it, whether consciously or unconsciously. So nobody was born with any form of addiction. So you need to ask yourself, what pain am I trying to avoid, or what pleasure am I trying to gain? Now, pornography and other form of sexual addiction usually starts, with pleasure. It never starts like addiction. Sometimes it's just a bit to catch some fun online, explore new ways of making love, but at last it has become an uncontrollable, compulsive appetite for bizarre sexual practices. So I see sometimes, a man convinces himself to say, you know what, I want to learn better sex, and he goes into porn. Now, the goal of pornography is not to teach you better sex. The goal of pornography is to sell pornography, right? The goal of pornography is to distort your mind, sell sex, and breed comparison. Because the moment you begin to consume porn, you begin to visualize and expect your spouse to perform like the woman you're seeing in the porn, or to perform like the woman you're seeing in the porn movies, right? Forgetting that those were mere actors, and many of them are hooked on drugs. I have followed the evolution of the Nigerian pornography industry from the year 2001, in the era where there was no singular porn in Nigeria that was Nigerian made, to the days of Afro Candy, when she was the only porn star we had in Nigeria. And even at that, you couldn't have watched a video online at all. Right, to now the era where there was the real Nolly, Afri Nolly, which promoted a lot of sexually explicit stuff on YouTube, to the time Nigerians began to shoot pornography where they marks themselves, now to the time where they no longer marks themselves, and where our porn industry is almost competing with the porn industry in America, and where the largest consumer in Nigeria today are ages 9 to ages 31 thereabout, even though right now we are realizing that has extended to ages 14 to about 65 as well, right? So, unknown to many men, the goal of pornography is never to teach sex. So it starts in form of an adventure. Even when I was doing my research on pornography many years ago, I almost got hooked back on porn because he had to take me to all kinds of pornography websites. It was supposed to be a research. Thank God that I had to confide in some of my friends and say to them, you know what, I've concluded this research. Please hold me in check for the next few months, right, to be sure that I am not going back in the name of doing another research, to keep consuming porn. The 1986 Attorney General Commission on Pornography defined pornography as any material that is predominantly sexually explicit and intended primarily for the purpose of sexual arousal. That's the definition of the Attorney General Commission on Pornography. The goal of pornography is sexual arousal. Now, if all you want in your life is mere sexual arousal, then something is wrong. But let me say this to you, that porn is a jealous lover who can't stand the rival. It will never stop until it consumes every rival and ultimately consumes the new lover. So when you begin to do porn, one thing about porn is that porn cannot stand the rival. Porn is a side chick who will consume the wife, who will consume you eventually. Porn cannot stand any rival. So if you're doing business and you're consuming porn, porn will eat into the time of your business. You will go there and say, oh, I just want to watch one porn. Before you know it, you have done 6, 7 till you do 60 pornographic sites within the next 1 hour. Before you know it, you've spent 2 hours. You have masturbated twice, right? These were things you didn't plan to do. Porn is a jealous lover. It will eventually consume the user. It will consume everything that stands in the way. Porn will consume your marriage. Porn will consume you. Porn will consume everything. It will consume your business. It will consume the prayerful. Porn will eat into your prayer time and steal it, right? If you are godly, porn will consume your godliness, and porn will disciple you to become someone else that you are not even proud of. Now, so question is, do you want your wife consumed, or do you even want to be consumed? Pornography destroys moral thinking and waters down your value, right? I have consumed porn before, so I know what I'm talking about. The moment you begin to do porn, or you begin to get into masturbation, and what of you, it destroys your moral thinking. It waters down your values, that if your values is very, very strict, before you know it, you become very, very flexible, and your defense mechanism is totally broken down to a level where you begin to do things that you are not proud of. And you are asking yourself, who was I, and who am I right now? Porn is a jealous lover. He will turn you into who you are not proud of. In fact, you'll be looking for the original you. You will not find you because you have totally evolved into someone else. Pornography reduces women to a commodity that must be displayed for sale. So you go on porn site, you see all kinds of women. The question you're asking is, if you met your daughter among those girls you're going to view on porn, will you still consume porn? Let's assume, because those people are other people's daughter, right? So if you get in there and you met your daughter or you met your wife among the women acting the porn, will you still be proud of her and say, wow, my wife is doing so well, or my daughter is doing so well? Like Yoruba people will say, a madman, is so easy to view and enjoy the display of a madman, but to give back to a madman is another ballgame entirely. Porn reduces a woman to a whole, penetrated at all costs. So porn has no respect for womanhood. Porn has no respect for your brain. A lot of people have had their lives messed up, by a comparison-based sexuality where they think that they have to align with what they are seeing in the porn movies. They want to become like their favorite porn star, so they do not understand the concept of stud. Stud are people who can go multiple rounds, and many of these people are on drugs, right? So they are not aware of that, so they try to perform like them, so they begin to doubt their own sexuality because they are exposed to porn. So you see the kind of big penis in a porn movie, and you don't know what is happening there, and you begin to doubt your own porn. You begin to doubt your own penis. All right. You see the way the woman wriggles her waist, and you begin to doubt the purity of your wife's mind because your own mind is already polluted. So porn creates a comparison mentality and a performance-based sexuality. Pornography leads to increased guilt and decreased self-concept, right? How inadequate do you feel when you think the guys there are bigger than you? So it shows guys with muscles, right? Pounding the woman, pounding the woman, pounding the woman. These guys are acting, right? So when you see a porn movie that goes on for like 15, 20 minutes, within those 15, 20 minutes, it has taken them 2 hours to act that part, 2 hours of resting, 2 hours of video cutting stop, but you are not aware of that. You just see them pound, and you want to pound like that without considering your health status, without considering the fact that you are not an actor, without considering the fact that the goal of sex in marriage is to pleasure your spouse. So you just think it's pounding, 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 and before you know it, you realize that your spouse, you're having sex with her, but in your mind, your heart is somewhere else, right? So you replace your wife with the woman you saw in the porn movie. So you are holding a body, moving a waist the way you saw in the porn movie. So technically, you are not having sex with your wife. You are having sex with the woman you saw in the porn movie. Now, the question is, at the point of marriage, if you have met the woman you saw in porn movie, whose all she can offer is sexuality, would you have just married her on the strength of the only thing she's bringing to the table is bedroom? She doesn't have a brain. She doesn't have a life. She cannot represent you properly. She doesn't befit you. She cannot communicate at your level. That the only thing she can bring is good sex. Will you marry on the strength of good sex alone? Next one, pornography breeds an obsessive thinking and could lead to other chronic addiction. Yes, pornography breeds obsessive thinking, that when you are alone, you'd realize that your mind is totally a mess, that your life is now reduced to your sexuality. Your life is reduced to your penis or the need to penetrate a vagina at all costs, right? So because porn will attack your, it breeds comparison. It messes up, distorts your thinking, that you cannot think straight and critically analyze your life anymore. You analyze everything through the prism of penetration. But you see, love making is beyond penetration. It's not about you. As a matter of fact, your life is reduced to ejaculation if all you do is porn. Now, pornography, above all, destroys your spiritual life and opens you up to all kinds of infiltration. If you're spiritually minded, you would realize that pornography would take away your spirituality. It will improve and, enhance your carnality, that if you're not careful, you will begin to do the things you are not proud of. So if you're not used to cheating, you will find yourself cheating. If you're not used to voyeurism, you find yourself engaged in voyeurism. If you're not used to fetishism, you will want to try that out. If you are not used to masturbation, masturbation, you will find yourself masturbating consistently by the reason of the pornography you are exposed to. I always say to people that pornography is a forerunner of nudes, which has totally destroyed a lot of men. So you see some men soliciting for nudes, sending their own nudes. You ask yourself, how do people graduate to that level where someone on the other side that you don't know asks you to snap your penis and send it over? This is a younger girl, right? Maybe even a teenager, and you snap your penis by yourself and you are sending it to a stranger. Then when you now become a victim of blackmail, you begin to run helter-skelter, because it shows you that people who consume pornography lose their sense of reasoning, lose their ability to think, right? So they begin to do unhealthy chat, right? I know what I'm talking about, so pay attention to this. They begin to do unhealthy behavior. If your senses are intact, will you take your phone that you bought with your money, snap your private part that should be private, and send it over the internet? Like we say, the internet never forgets. So you find people who are the highest level of their manifestation, the news they've sent to someone that they love, because crisis has happened now. The person exposed the nude is all over the internet. Entire career is destroyed. As a matter of fact, if you've been monitoring social media, every day something is trending, because a secret relationship has gone sour, right? And the person who is hurting has decided to release illicit chat that the person who sent it is not proud of. So consistently, people are trending, things are trending that is destroying people on everyday basis. But you see, oftentimes I say to people, your addiction is serving a purpose, because if you don't know what is wrong with your addiction, you will lie to yourself and you will not get the appropriate solution to the crisis. Now, oftentimes your addiction is your city of refuge that keeps you temporarily safe from the bigger thing you are running away from. Oftentimes your addiction is your city of refuge that keeps you temporarily safe from the bigger thing you are running away from. So the question I often ask people who are hooked on pornography and masturbation and other bizarre sexual practices is, what are you running away from and what are you running into? Porn is like your tranquilizer. It's like smoke, right? It's like drug. That is what you are using, right, to maintain your sanity. But question is, what is putting stress into your life? What are you running away from? Because you are running away from something. There is something you desire that you cannot find. That porn is like a stopgap measure that makes you sane. It calms you down. But you see, porn has got different effects. For some, porn or other unnatural sexual bizarre practices will leave you with low self-esteem. It leaves emptiness because you always want something extra or more. If you're a consumer of porn, or you're a consumer of pornography, or you're a user of masturbation, or you are practicing threesome and foursome, at the height of your desire, it looks like once you do it, you are going to have peace. But when you do it, and you have peace, right? The next thing that happens is emptiness. You have low self-esteem. You always want something extra. So you realize that the pleasure you're desiring is not actually there, because you will need another round of porn to retain your pleasure. So, and that is how people get hooked. Before you know it, people have done 3 hours of porn. They once brought a girl to my office who was age 8. As of that morning, she has done 60 pornographic sites on a single morning before 9 a.m. Eventually, she was caught. Now, that is what porn does. Porn is no respecter of person, no respecter of age, no respecter of climb, no respecter of your status. It will bring you down crashing to the level of porn. Like I said, it's a jealous lover. It will wrap itself around you that you will not be able to think of anything else. You will not think of your status. You will not think of the position you have attained, the stress it took you to attain that position. All you care about is porn, and porn eventually destroys. So porn leads to disgrace and distrust, because porn has effect. Porn doesn't just stay like that in your mind. Porn wants more. After a while, porn will recruit you to become a fellow actor. So you begin to look for women or men who can satisfy your penchant for porn, or who you can act out what you are seeing in a porn movie on. So it's like porn is a school that when you attend it, you graduate and you become an ambassador of porn, that in your bedroom, you begin to desire what you saw in the movie. You stop being yourself, right? And you start replicating the person you saw in the porn, now desiring a co-actor who was not part of your porn movie to act the role of the partner in the movie. Now, if you can't find the person, that's why you see married men eventually find a prostitute, or they find a girl who is also hooked on porn, because the thing about porn is porn users they magnetize themselves, right? If you begin to desire someone to do that, you will begin to find ladies who are actually hooked on porn themselves. They begin to come in your direction. Pornography leads to stagnancy eventually. It will stagnate your progress, impede your progress, put you on the same spot where you begin to confess sins consistently, but you realize after confession of sin, you go ahead and do it, right? I tell people that when I was using porn, right, I would curse myself and say, God, if I do it again, kill me, right? I will place myself under curses, and I'll say, before you know it, 48 hours back, right? That's how dangerous porn is. Porn leads to stagnancy. Porn will breed self-sabotaging patterns where you begin to sabotage yourself. Now, think of a man who is the CEO of a company, picking his camera to snap his private part to send to a lady and soliciting for the nudes of that lady. Now, that is a man well respected outwardly. That's a man who has built a conglomerate, but he has lost the battle over his privacy because of the use of porn. Because porn makes your private parts public. That's what it does, right? So you need to understand what we are dealing with, right? Every time you move away from your spouse in the direction of porn, you are heading towards destruction. Like they say in Nigeria, Egungun, be careful. That is, masquerade, be careful. Because you're already on the express lane. Porn brings self-sabotaging pattern. Porn will expose you to other unnatural behavior, right? So before you know it, you want threesome, you want foursome, but you are married. You begin to fantasize it. Before you know, you begin to ask your wife, can we bring another person in so that we exploit? Now, question is, what do you want to explore? How do you want your wife to think? And you want to sleep with the two of them together, you want them to kiss themselves while you watch. Now, if you realize what is happening to you, you are no longer who you used to be. I love the way Daria Lade puts it. You are not the girl I used to know. You are a shadow of yourself. I think I lost you long ago, like a book that's left its shelf. Man, you are no longer the man you used to be. You are the same person who will sing and lift up holy hands, but here you are. You have entered the express lane. You are no longer who you used to be. I understand what it means for porn to totally destroy your life, for porn to replace you with someone else that you are not, right? I understand this from a practical point of view. So you need to understand that porn will expose you to other unnatural behaviors, that you begin to do what you are not proud of, and you can't even stop it because you don't even know who will believe you. You don't know who to talk to. Now, but guess what? Porn is a coward. That the moment you expose yourself, right, the urge to use porn begins to drop. Totally, because you are already addicted to it. It becomes compulsive, uncontrollable, that even when you don't want to do it, you find yourself doing it. You wake up in the morning and that's what you're suffering, right? You lock yourself up, that's what you're doing. You begin to convince yourself that with porn you sleep better. In fact, once you begin to use porn and you masturbate, you realize that you begin to sleep better, but the problem is you will need to use another porn to sleep the next day, and before you know it, it consumes your life. Porn is a jealous lover. Once it hooks you, it doesn't want any rival. Porn can lead to depression, right? And it can lead to depression because you begin to doubt yourself and begin to ask yourself, how have the mighty fallen from where you used to be? There was a time in your life that all you had was a pure mind, right? Enjoying sex with your wife, but you brought in porn, and before you knew it, you have started practicing the things you will not naturally do. So a lot of people have become depressed in their use of porn. Porn will lead to broken relationships. Broken relationship with God, with man, and with your spouse, right? It will break your jealous lover. It can't even stand God. It will break your relationship with your God. It will break your relationship with your spouse, that you will no longer communicate with them. I know a lot of couples who say that after sexual intercourse, they still have to go and consume porn because porn is the only way they derive sexual pleasure. It's a learned behavior. You were not born that way. There was a time in your life you never had that penchant. The moment you began to use porn, right, porn begins to mess up your sanity, and it begins to condition you to begin to demand more. Porn eventually leads to other addiction. Now, Who must you make peace with that was a victim of your season of pain? Because when you begin to use porn, you begin to subject people to pain. So many of you have had to subject younger ladies who look up to you, right, and to lure them into sex as a result of your use of porn, right? Who have you hurt in your season of porn addiction? Some of you have had to lure your wife's younger sister, lure family members, lure all kinds of people into unnatural behavior. You have solicited for nudes from strange girls, solicited for nudes from mentees, messed up other people in your season of pain. Now, the first thing I need you to do is to go apologize and go make peace with the victims of your season of pain and victim of your misbehavior. You need to make peace with them and beg, apologize, or else it will earn you in the future, right? Do you need to apologize to your spouse? Do you even need to apologize to yourself and make peace with yourself? And if there is any sidebar, you need to make peace with them. Now, how do you break free from pornography? Now, I can't get into that today because that would take me another 15 minutes thereabout, and I don't want this to be too long, right? So tomorrow, I will take that on. How do you break free from pornography as a man or even as a woman who uses porn? There is a way. Now, I can't get into it because I don't know your history. In therapy, we need to take your history, your case history, to understand the strategy we need to create for you. But I will create some generic strategy that can help you if you're watching this video. So tomorrow, don't miss it at all, because I'm going to be talking about how to break free from pornography. If possible, I'll also bring in my co-therapist, to interview her on how people can break free from pornography and this other unnatural behavior, which has destroyed a lot of homes, destroyed a lot of marriages. Porn is a jealous lover. Porn cannot stand God. He will take God away from you. Porn cannot stand your Bible or your Quran. He will take it away from you. Porn cannot stand your purity. It will mess up your purity. Porn cannot stand your marriage. It will eventually take it away from you. Porn cannot stand your sanity. It will take your sanity away from you. Porn will disciple you, mess up your mind, give you a new mind, and you begin to act in a way that you are not proud of, but you won't be able to stop it because porn is killing me softly. It will kill you softly. It will make you feel, oh, there is no big deal. You are in control. Before you know it, you have lost control and you have begun to act in a way that you could have vowed that you would never do. That's what porn does. So don't let people deceive you by telling you, oh, porn teach you better sex. No way, right? If your spouse is not giving you sex, make peace with your spouse. And please, I'm going to appeal to a lot of women. If you know you are not going to be having sex with your husband, please don't get married. I have had to talk to men who are hooked on pornography, and they'll tell me it was because my wife stopped having sex with me. How do you get married to a man and you are not having sex with him, and sex is reduced to 10 times in a year, right? When some people want sex almost every day, you are telling your husband we can't do sex more than two times in a year. You don't know what it carries in his body and how it feels. And a lot of men, because they don't want to cheat or they don't want to sleep with another woman, they have reduced their life to the use of porn and masturbation, and that is killing a lot of them. Some of them are hooked right now. The question is, if you don't want marriage anymore, do the honorable thing. Talk to your spouse, I don't want this marriage anymore, so that you can go your separate ways amicably in peace. Especially, maybe the only reason you got into marriage was because of a child, and now you already have the child, and you think your life is over in marriage. Now, but let me tell you this. There's a history to you that you need to fix. Something went wrong with you that you need to address. Maybe your sexuality was distorted at some point in your life. There's a remedy for that. So get help. If you don't longer feel like having sex with your spouse, but if you think sex is not your thing, there is no hard and fast rule about it. Exit marriage so that your spouse can go and remarry and find someone who actually wants to have sex, who sees sex as pleasure, as a gift that you give to your spouse. There is no point holding a man bound that you are not willing to sleep with, because pornography and masturbation is destroying a lot of married men simply because their spouses have gone on break and they no longer want to have sex with them, right? You need to get help, right? Using a therapist is not something that is out of the ordinary. It's something that is meant to help you. So please, get help with your problem, solve your problem. Sex in marriage is a gift that we're supposed to give to ourselves. We should enjoy this pleasure and it should not bring pain. But the moment somebody goes on strike and opens up the other person to all this pornography and unnatural sexual behavior, and it has crushed a lot of men's destiny. We need to help ourselves and plug the gap. And the goal of marriage, actually, part of it is to cover up yourself, because when you don't deprive yourself of each other's body, temptation will reduce, right? Which is why now, before people get married, sex is a major conversation they must begin to have, especially if you are their counselor, because people know how they feel before marriage. If you begin to hear a lady say to you that, you know what, I can spend 1 year without sex, it doesn't mean anything to me, that's a red flag, right? Because when you get in marriage, she will now want to spend 1 year without sex and say sex means nothing to me. If sex means something to the man you want to get married and it means nothing to you, please, that is unequal yoke. You guys should collapse that relationship before you step into marriage, so that people who actually want sex can marry themselves and enjoy the beauty of sex in the marriage, instead of finding solace in the hand of pornography, which leads them in the direction of what they don't want or proud of, which eventually consumes them. I hope I've helped you today. When I come back tomorrow, I will take on how to break free from sex. We are still talking about the 7th common mistake married men make, which is finding solace in the hand of pornography and other unnatural sexual bizarre sexual practices. I believe that you have learned something new today, and I hope that you will find help. And if your sex life has broken down, please get help. Enlist the services of a therapist or a certified family life practitioner so that you can get help. I hope this has helped you. Thank you so much for joining me. You might want to go on my website, school.iampraised.com. There are lots of courses there that can help you through the season. It's the next half of the year. Don't mess your life up and don't miss opportunity for growth. So go in there, take some of the courses. It will help you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you tomorrow. Till then, keep loving, keep living, and know that I truly, truly, truly celebrate you